Okay, that was a pretty short break. So here at Strand Hotel, I will have to ask people to come back and find their seats again, and we will reconvene our program. So we're going to continue. Now, early in July, I paid a visit to Batteriretur in Fredrikstad. And on the table of the conference room, there was a glass jar containing what at first looked like instant coffee. But the lid had a small label with capital letters demanding me not to open it. On another label, I could read Black Mass. The man who placed the jar on that table, he's here today. He's standing right there. And although I know he's left the jar back at the office, the Black Mass is the reason that Fredrik Andresen, managing director at Batteriretur in Fredrikstad, and Christian Rosenkilde, chief engineer in Hydro, as I've been told to pronounce it, are embarking on a joint venture with Swedish NorthVolt, a venture that might become an adventure. Fredrik and Christian, you are most welcome on stage with me here to talk about HydroVolt. And dear audience, if you want to participate, once again, you should use Slido and ask questions. The code is still PROSIN. Now, Christian first, what exactly is HydroVolt? In short. And while you're answering that, I have to pop out and get my mobile phone, because of course I forgot it when I was running for the break. So you can tell the audience about HydroVolt. Go ahead.
Extremely short, because that would be simply saying that it's a 50-50 joint venture between Hydro and NorthVolt. Okay. Well, I can elaborate a bit, and it's the purpose of this joint venture is to set up a battery recycling plant in Fredrikstad in Norway, primarily aimed at the large EV batteries, but also other large type lithium-ion batteries from, say, maritime sector and energy storage.
Yeah, that was very short.
Yeah, I can continue if you wish.
No, well, yeah, you can continue and tell me what Hydro's interest is in this project and doing this.
Yeah.
Because this is not your primary work or business.
No, it's not. But an EV battery pack contains a lot of aluminium, which is Hydro's main business today. So typically we see already today, and we expect a slight growing amount of aluminium in each car, which is around 100 kilo in the pack. And this is actually quite a lot. So aluminium is a clear interest for us, but we also have a kind of general interest in the battery business as such. And we feel that the recycling of batteries is a very good entry point for Hydro into this business. Yeah,
because recycling aluminium is important to Hydro.
Yes, it is important, and we want to increase that importance also.
Yeah. You're doing this together with Swedish NorthVolt. Why that kind of collaboration across the borders?
Yes, so first of all, NorthVolt has a very strong strategy to include recycled materials in their cells. So they are very much after this black mass, which is another important product that you get out of recycling. So that's, of course, their main interest in this. Secondly, Hydro made a small investment in NorthVolt 2 years ago, and that was the starting point of this collaboration. Recycling was on the agenda then, but it became a much stronger item in a couple of years that has passed since then.
I would like to pass the word to Fredrik, because you're Mr. Recycling in many ways in Norway, and until now Batteriretur has mainly collected used batteries of all kinds. You've sorted them, repacked them, and then shipped them to recycling sites elsewhere. But now with this project, you're going to have recycling on your sites in Fredrikstad. Why this sudden change of the business model?
Well, first of all, it's driven by volume.
Okay.
Actually, we have a decent volume today, which defends the investment that's being made in Fredrikstad. And we also see a significant growth coming in the future due to the agreements we have with several OEMs. And for me, as the director of Batteriretur, it's important to position Norwegian work labor, Norwegian workplaces. develop technology, that we can export our technology, but we can do the work here as well. Because for 27 years, we have been shipping all our batteries to other countries for recycling. Why shouldn't we do it here? Now we have the volume because of the electrification in Norway. And we should also take care of the waste we are creating as a consequence of the electrification we are seeing in Norway. And that again gives us possibilities to invest and create workplaces in Norway. And yeah, this is just the start, and we look forward to this pilot coming up.
How many workplaces can you create with this new facility?
To be announced. Depends really on technology we choose for the investment, Christian. But we will need, of course, a few people. This will also be done in several steps. So you can ask me in a year.
I can ask you in a year. I'm going to do that. I'm going to make sure of that. So you said it's about volumes, but what kind of volumes are we talking about?
Well, what I can say is that in total today we have, of all category batteries we collect, is around 1,000 tons. You can multiply that sometimes in the future. So it's a big increase compared to what we see today.
And are you mainly aiming at batteries that come directly from the cars? Or you mentioned energy storage as well. Could these be like Second Life batteries arriving at Fredrikstad as well?
Yes, absolutely. Second Life will be a topic to take into the business case, of course. And we see that through our company, we do several projects for reuse and Second Life as well. The key is to keep the ownership to the material. So you have access to the material the day it's going to be recycled. So
is that a problem?
Well, not so far, but it might be. But still, we see that not all batteries, lithium-ion batteries, can be reused. Okay. Some can. You saw it yourself in Fredrikstad. We have a pretty huge project there, which works. But it will be a significant number of batteries directly to recycling. For car dismantlers can be one thing. And other applications like energy storage or even portables we are looking into. So, yeah, both.
And if we should look at what you're actually going to do here concretely at the site, an EV battery contains different kinds of components, and you will need different kinds of methods to extract the different fractions. How pure can the fractions be once they've been dismantled and sorted? I'm looking at both of you, but mainly Christian.
So what we plan to do in Fredrikstad is to take the batteries that are initially partly dismantled in Sandefjord at Batteriretur site there. Later on we will do it ourselves in Fredrikstad. So we did dismantle it down to a certain level, and then the modules, as we call them, go into a shredder, which is a kind of grinding machine that cuts them into pieces, typically 20 millimeter. And that is then the mix of everything that's in there. And then you need to start the sorting. So our aim there is to sort this, what we call physical sorting. This is by sieving, etc. And then we will get several fractions. That we want to be as pure as possible. But none of these fractions have the purity to go directly into new batteries. They will need to be refined further.
And are you going to do that in Fredrikstad?
No.
Or do the...
So typically then we will take the aluminium.
Yeah.
We will do the refining of that to make it into new products of any type, but also new battery materials. Northvolt on their side will take the black mass and do the refining there and use that material directly, the refined material directly into their new cells. So there is a step required afterwards, but these following steps are more traditional steps that are to a large extent already there.
All of this sounds a bit costly. What are the costs behind such a project, setting it all up?
So we're talking in the 100 million range here.
Okay. And who's going to pay for all that?
So that is partly ourselves, mostly ourselves, but Enova will hopefully grant us substantial support.
Yeah, because I was actually going for that question, because you haven't received a reply yet, have you, from Enova?
No, we haven't, but in about 1 month we will hopefully have a positive reply.
And how important is that potential support going to be? Is it a go or no-go decision?
It is.
It is.
It is a go and no-go decision.
So that message is now conveyed to Enova. Okay,
but I mean
that's good.
Enova won't support projects unless it's like that.
Yeah. Okay. So I think there are actually a couple of relatively recent questions coming in here. So, yeah, we're actually going to see a little bit on that later on. But how will you ensure batteries that can actually be reused, that they will not be recycled instead? We touched upon it a little bit, but would you like to go deeper?
Yeah, it might be driven by legislation.
Yeah, so that's what we're waiting for.
The new battery directive was mentioned earlier today. And of course, as I said, for us as a company who have been doing this for 27 years, we are also supporting reuse at some extent where it's possible to do it. But it is key materials, which is needed for the industry in these batteries as well. So you need some kind of enforcement or legislation to do it, I would say. At the same time, it's a cost perspective.
Yeah.
So if you see the price going down even further for new batteries, it will hit a limit for reuse versus new batteries as well. So yeah, I think we'll learn a lot more in the next couple of years regarding that.
And where is the limit for this project? I mean, what's next? Where are you going?
So what we see is that there will be sufficient volume in Norway to support such a plant on a pure commercial basis, given some time. But our ambition is to grow into continental Europe as well.
Germany, for instance?
Germany is a very good example. We have a lot of recycling activities there already. Northvolt is also heavily engaged in Germany. And France, Italy, etc.
Yeah.
So the European border is the limit.
For the time being.
For the time being.
Yes, perfect. Well, it's good to hear that you have ambitions and that you're already working concretely on this. So we wish you the best of luck. Thank you. The time has run up for us now, but I guess we're going to hear more about HydroVolt as we go along. So thank you very much, Fredrik and Christian. I've learned that a typical EV battery still has 70% capacity left when it's taken out of circulation. And our next two speakers want to use that energy before dismantling and recycling the battery pack, the second life that we just spoke a little bit about. And they see huge potential in this area. It is time for our industrial examples part 2 in our Nordic battery ecosystem. And we are meeting two speakers who both represent relatively new initiatives. That means they're 2 years old, or should I say 2 years young. And the speakers themselves, however, have long careers within the field, and they share the same strong belief in the potential and the need for smart energy storage. They're going to join us digitally, and the first gentleman we're about to meet is Rasmus Bergström. He is CEO of Batteriretur, a company within Stena Recycling Group in Sweden, located in Gothenburg. And he's going to be followed by Trygve Burkhardt, CEO of the Norwegian company EcoStore. He was planning on joining us here today, but unfortunately, he is currently corona-stuck in Michigan, the US, and he has sent us a recording of his presentation. As with the former examples, we're going to run these two consecutively without interruption, except for the applause that I know that you're going to give them both in between, and questions should be directed to them afterwards. Rasmus Bergström, I'm going to leave the digital stage to you now. So help him in, people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I will share my screen. Today I'm going to talk to you about a new started company within Stena Recycling Group, which belongs then to the Stena Metal, where we have still a lot of activities in Norway, Sweden, Finland, and I would say across over Europe. Batteriretur is a company that will be looking at reuse and second use of especially EV batteries. And today I will cover just a short couple of topics for you. And what is actually, when we're talking about energy storage systems, what are we talking about? How do we see the energy storage market? And what type of dialogue do we have today with the different OEMs? And of course, please feel free to contact me as I'm sitting in Sweden. We from Gothenburg are not allowed to go to Norway, so I'm stuck here in Sweden. What is then our system overview? what we're talking about is actually batteries then. And of course, the battery is one thing, but that's only one part of the system. We see a huge increase in solar panels in the Swedish market, and I would say all over Europe. We see today that the grid system is not actually developed for all the usage we today have. We are talking about ferries, we're talking about harbors, we're talking about real estate, and of course the huge increase of EV cars. So what are we developing within Battery Loop then? Well, it's based upon second-use batteries, or actually new batteries as well, but second-use batteries. And this is actually coming from the situation that Stena Recycling Group is handling over 200,000 cars annually that we recycle. And of course, a lot of these cars will tomorrow be electrified or hybrids in some way. Into Battery Loop, we then have the batteries. We have developed an energy management system, so we can steer the batteries, and a data lake with information. And this is the system we see today. And I would say, independent if we are in Norway or if we are in Sweden or Finland, this is the way the systems will be. So Battery Loop moves energy in time and space. This is our offering. How do we see the energy storage market? Well, we have a number of learnings, and I would say mostly of these learnings are coming from Sweden, but also from Norway, because we're working very close with our Norwegian colleagues in Stena Recycling Norway. We see today a lot of subsidies in putting in solar panels. This, of course, also generates a lot of possibilities for batteries and energy storage. The complete electrification drives power need. And I would say we don't have lack of electricity. We have lack of power because the grids are not developed for the way this is. This means we will require in the future, and already tomorrow, energy storage solutions locally in, for example, buildings, harbors, ferries, etc. Today, when we see payback for energy storage systems, we estimate that the payback for a real estate owner is around 7 to 8 years for these type of systems, when we have a cost of roughly 7,000 Swedish crowns per kilowatt hour. What we also see in the market is that the price per kilowatt is actually increasing, and it's increasing a lot, and it differs depending on where you are in the region. And this is why we within Stena then started the company Battery Loop to actually secure and use these type of batteries that we will get into our recycling sites. How do we do this then? Well, selling and buying arguments. Well, the change of car fleet, hybrids to electric. We see a strong need for parking spaces with charging stations. We see the possibilities to sell power to the grid. We actually see, when we do calculations, that all of this has actually a total cost of ownership that is neutral for many companies to actually invest in this type of systems. We see a huge increase of solar panels all over Europe. And what we have as well in Sweden, and I don't know how it is in Norway, but we have green building certificates, which means that the companies could actually have better possibilities to win tenders and do activities when they're certified as green buildings. The different OEM dialogue. Well, this is a big thing we are doing, as we have so many contracts with all the different OEMs. But as mentioned, the volumes for second life will come between 6 to 10 years after put on market of a car, depending if it's a commercial vehicle or not. 70 to 80% of the energy is still within the end-of-life vehicle in the battery. There is a huge discussion regarding the producer responsibility. What will actually happen when you put a battery pack or modules into a new functionality and product? Of course, there's no standards on the pack level, which means we have huge conversion costs to secure that we can use these type of products. User interface, how can we easily adapt our systems to get data from these type of batteries is also a huge discussion we have with the different OEMs. And I would say this is a challenge for all companies that will be working with second life batteries going forward. And of course, end of the day, the Stena Recycling Group will then recycle the systems that will be end of life after about 10 years again. But again, these are large opportunities, but it's a very small business in the beginning. And this is how we see it. So, very short, thank you. Please contact me if you have further questions or comments. And looking forward to be at your site next time. Thank you.
First, I would like to say thank you to the ID cluster for giving us this opportunity to tell a bit about what opportunities we in EcoStore think that lay in front of us. EcoStore is a company that has developed a method to make affordable energy storage solutions based on second life or reused electric vehicle batteries. 10 years ago, what almost seems like a fairy tale started in Norway. With the introduction of the Nissan Leaf, the sale of electric vehicles in Norway exploded, and Norway quickly became the world leader for introduction of electric vehicles. Now as much as 260,000 electric cars have been sold in Norway. We need a good plan for what we would like to do with all these batteries after they end their life in the car. After 7 to 10 years in the car, the driving distance, especially in cold weather, is reduced, and the batteries are ready to be replaced in the car. Imagine a distance from Oslo and past Kristiansand. 260,000 electric vehicle batteries placed next to each other will cover this distance. That's an enormous amount of special waste to handle, or as we see it, an incredible resource that we can take advantage of. What are we missing in our buildings today? We are striving for more environmental buildings, but renewable sources such as wind and solar are unstable. We need energy storage to take care of surplus energy to be used when there is no sun or wind. However, today's energy storage solutions are very expensive. An electric vehicle battery still has 70% of its storage capacity remaining after the battery is returned, and it has ended its life in the car. If used, Norway's 260,000 electric vehicle batteries has a remaining energy capacity of 7.6 gigawatt hours. This is about the same amount as all current installed energy storage in all buildings in the world today. EcoStore was started in 2018. We are a group of inventors with background from battery industry, electronics, and the construction industry. Together we have developed a method that transforms these electric vehicle batteries in a very cost-effective way. Our patented technology enables several advantages. We are able to use the complete EV battery and not only the battery modules inside the battery pack. That allows us to reuse the battery management system, the switchgear, all fuses and cables. All these peripherals account for almost 50% of the cost, and by complete reuse of all parts, we reduce the total system cost and can ship systems at a much lower cost than our competitors. Reused batteries versus new batteries also make sense environmentally. A used EV battery saves 4 tons CO2 per battery compared to new batteries. This is because production of new batteries comes with a high CO2 emission. With the use of our energy storage systems, we see in many cases a return of investment that is under 5 years. An important piece of the puzzle is solved, as the introduction of an affordable battery storage solution is an enabler for rapid introduction of renewables in buildings. Agder Energy came in and took a majority stake in the company in 2019, giving us a very solid investor. We also have a very strong working relationship and contracts with Nissan, giving us access to control system architecture. And we are also working with the other electric vehicle OEMs. This year we are shipping systems to important environmental buildings, and we have signed contracts for several million kroners. Energy storage is a growing market with a growth rate of about 30% per year. When cost comes down, energy storage is anticipated to have an even larger global growth. However, the EV market is growing even faster, and the calculated amount of return batteries from EVs will be sufficient to cover the total global demand for energy storage. EcoStore is now on track to become a significant international player in this market. On electrification of transportation, Norway has a 5 to 10 years lead over the rest of the world, and EcoStore is one example on how we can use this advantage to create new circular economy and renewable industries. We have now in Norway taken the lead in a transformational shift to electric vehicles. The car market is one of the largest economical markets in the world. Let us take advantage of this so that this Norwegian fairy tale can continue. Thank you again for the opportunity, and I'm sorry I didn't have the chance to make it to the conference this time. And I wish you all a great continuation of your conference. Thank you.
Thank you to both Trygve and Rasmus for very interesting presentations, and it's going to be exciting to follow them as well as we go along. Now, a good idea won't make it to the market alone. It needs to be followed by passion and patience, ambition and knowledge, and sprinkled with both timing and sometimes a little bit of luck. On top of that, it helps if someone else believes in your idea, especially if that someone is willing to invest in your business scheme. In Norway, there are 3 ongoing battery cell production initiatives: Freyr in Mo i Rana, Beyonder in Sandnes, and Morrow here in the Agder region. And their CEOs are all with us here today, and I'm curious to find out how they convinced their investors to opt for their ideas. If you get curious too, you can still ask questions, as you are doing so well already, and the code through Slido is still PROSIN. I'm going to start with the most local one, which is Terje Andersen at Morrow. Please welcome him to the stage. He's on his way up. Carrying a book even, Terje. I think you're going to get back to that. Or just in case. Just in case, yeah. It's always good to have a reference point. Morrow is a relatively young company, Terje, but you've managed to get some pretty heavy investors on board. We're talking Agder Energi and Bjørn Rune Gjelstein through his Gjelstein Holding / NOAH. Your plan is to build a gigafactory producing lithium-ion batteries first, and then adding on sulfur battery technology in 5 to 10 years. And when I spoke to Terje the other day, he described his hunt for investors as a Tinder date. Ooh. Now, that, I would say, implies that both parties are on the lookout and on equal terms. However, asking for funding is usually seen as being in an underdog position. So, did you feel that these terms were really equal in your negotiations?
First of all, that Tinder history was between us two. But anyhow.
Oh, that came out wrong.
No.
Okay.
They were, these 2 players was in a way very mature. They are very mature, and they have been playing around with battery for several years.
Playing around, yeah?
Yep.
Okay, yep.
One of them was in a way playing around with new technology, and the other was playing around with the idea around the factory.
Yeah.
And the Tinder was in a way to bring them together around the same table.
Yeah.
That was the metaphor for Tinder.
Yeah, so that was the matchmaking element of the whole thing.
That's true.
But how did you get about to do that? Because it's not easy to go to these two pretty well-experienced environments and ask for money.
First of all, I think it is easier to convince or have a discussion when they are mature. So they have already, in a way, had a view on how to take the next step. I'm not quite sure how long we were, in a way, spending time around this topic, but I felt that we were already, from day one, moving in the right direction. It was not that easy, but I think throughout the process, it was very clear, at least for me, that this is going to happen. But we had some twists and some bumps in the road, but anyhow, we were able to bring this together in a very, very nice way.
That's the part of the game, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. But would you have accepted, or would you, if you met an investor with money, willing to put it on the table, would you have accepted that regardless of who this potential investor was?
Don't misunderstand me now, but I don't think money is the most important thing, to be honest. I think, first of all, I think you need to have ownership that it really can take the idea to the next level. I think running around and asking for money is not the way to do it.
Okay.
I think that will be a terrible exercise. But I'm not saying that money is less important, because down the road we need a lot of money.
I guess you do. How much money? Okay, so it's your guess is as good as mine.
No, should we do Norwegian kroner?
Yeah, let's do that.
No, I think this gigafactory and the program requires more than 20 billion Norwegian kroner.
20 billion, okay. I'm going to note that, because that's a pretty big number. Now you have two majority owners. They're around 39 to 40% each. Was that a strategic choice from your side to have this few investors?
I think it's an ideal starting point.
Okay.
I will also add that Bellona was, in a way, a part of the new technology idea together with Jelsten. So I think, from my point of view and our point of view, this is an ideal setup for the first leg.
Why is that?
Because I think it's easier and it's much more, I will say, it's some tough decision needs to be taken. We need to take some risk. We need to be a kind of sitting in the same boat doing this, and having too many owners that is not part of the operation will probably be more difficult, and it's probably difficult to take decisions. So having I'm not saying that two is ideal, but having a small group of owners that is really committed is a really, really good starting point.
And that's where you're at now?
Yep.
Yeah. What would you say makes Morrow unique?
Morrow, unique. Okay, which side's go? This is a book I'm reading now. It's about a guy named Sam Eide. And he did a similar exercise some years ago, and he started Elkem Yara Hydro. In the same area we are doing this, and I'm humble, I'm energized, and I'm inspired by the fact that we are trying to do a similar operation. Some need to go to Sweden to get the money. He traveled to Germany to learn, and then things start to happen. It's a great story, and it's a lot of learning in here, and I'm really, really happy to be in this part of Norway.
How is that an answer to the uniqueness of
Yes.
Morrow?
Basically, I'm saying that the location is crucial.
Okay.
And the location is not just nice weather and water, salty water. It is about the industry cluster. It is about a long tradition. and you have a lot of inspiring industry that is really, really interesting for us to team up with. ID cluster, and I can take them all. This is the part of Norway. I feel it's really exciting to, in a way, start doing a gigafactory in battery. And the other piece in the puzzle is that it's just a swimming distance over to Germany. It is very close to the main market.
What are the challenges you're facing now? Because this gigafactory of yours is not, it's not decided where it's going to be yet, when it's going to be in production. There are still many steps to go. What are you facing right now?
First of all, we are working very close with the whole vertical integration with raw material. We are trying to understand, trying to, in a way, challenge. And we know that if we are able to make the right integration, we will be really, really good position. And that is, we will be there. The other thing is that we, 1st of September, we will get feedback from more or less all of you, where the factory will be placed. Okay. So 1st of September, we will get the feedback from southern part of Norway, and it's a lot of feedback we are expecting. Not all of them will be. We will not build the factory in all areas, but I think that the process and the way we have been having a very, very positive interaction is really, really good to see, and it's enthusiasm, it is willingness, it is a really, really good process going on. But still, we need to take a decision, and we will get to the first feedback 1st of September.
So after that, we might know.
We will take the decision before Christmas, and Christmas this year. Okay. Around Christmas time, I think we will have the decision.
Cool. Well, with that, Terje, I would like to wish you the best of luck, and I'm sure there are lots of people very eager to have their, municipality used as location for your factory, because with that comes jobs and value creation. So good luck with that, and thank you so much for this tiny chat and interaction.
Thank you very much.
And good luck with the reading.
Yep.
Now, the next CEO that we're going to talk with is Tom Jensen from Freyr. A digital welcome to you, wherever you are. I know that he's online. There he is. Look at that beautiful background. I know it's a picture, I know, but it's beautiful anyways. Tom, you're joining us from your office in Oslo, isn't that right?
That is correct.
Yeah,
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, but your company is located in Mo I Rana in northern Norway, where you are planning on building Norway's first lithium battery cell manufacturing facility. And the ambition is to start construction in 2021. Now, just a month ago, we heard news of new investors signing up for a total of 130 million Norwegian kroner in Freyr, with Helgeland Invest as the largest contributor with a sum of 25 million kroner. We're lucky to have the CEO of Helgeland Invest with us today too, so a warm welcome to Ståle Indregård as well. Now, before we're going to start exploring why Helgeland Invest chose to go with Freyr, I would like to ask you, Tom, to tell us a little bit about the first 2 years of the company. What challenges have you met in setting up this scheme, which is relatively ambitious, I would say?
Well, thank you for that great question, and thank you for everyone participating in this seminar and for inviting us into it. We're obviously honored to be here. So the world stands in front of one of the more difficult and urgent challenges of our time, namely a huge energy transition from predominantly fossil-based energy supply to one dominated by renewable energy. Batteries will, as been spoken about many times today, play an enormously important role in this transition. The people behind Freyr saw early that this transition could represent a huge opportunity for Norway. Timing is everything, as they say, and yes, we've had our fair share of challenges since we were started as a concept in late 2017. But less so, I would say, since we launched our ambitions publicly in Bodø in April last year. The main challenge for any startup company from my vantage point is to get the following aspects right. First of all, you need to have the right model. Second, you need to be in the right location. And third, you need to be at the right time. And if you have the appropriate balance between these aspects, you will find investors who are willing to support your ambitions. There were quite a number of people and organizations and companies, I would say, that were smiling a bit at our ambitions 2 years ago. And the main challenge has been to find relevant partners and stakeholders willing to engage. There's a lot of inertia in the established battery industry, and the main customers have very high demands, but also find themselves in a very deep and urgent transition. As time passes and our serious efforts are sinking in, we do see, however, a very large and increasing number of customers, technology providers, investors, and suppliers who are very eager to join us. In short, we are now 2 years older and somewhat wiser, and we see that more stakeholders are approaching us as opposed to us chasing them. We believe battery cell production and up and downstream activities can represent a very material industry for Norway, and we aspire to be a core catalyst to this effect. We have evaluated more than 20 different technologies, signed up partnerships with more than 15 highly credible partners along the value chain, and we've attracted more than 50 investors so far, including, of course, Helgeland Invest. And I'm very pleased to have Ståle join us on this call, who is the largest investor in this round that we have behind us. Having a local investor for local value creation is critically important, in our opinion, to ensure that we can proceed. We're now gearing up to finalize the detailed engineering and design of what we believe will be Norway's first battery cell facility. We are on track to start construction of this one by the end of the second quarter of next year. This will allow us to start supplying batteries to the world from Mo i Rana from late 2022, which is a little over 2 years away. And finally, I'll say that this is a challenge that is keeping you up at night.
It is keeping you up at night. Yeah, well, thank you. That was actually a mini presentation in form of an answer. Well, thank you very much, Tom, for that. And, you know, lots of questions emerge when I'm listening to you. But you mentioned around 50 investors as of today, and that is a different strategy in many ways than what Terje was talking about, who has 2 majority owners at this point. And I've seen 40 billion Norwegian kroner seen as a cost estimate for your gigafactory. How difficult or easy has it been in the beginning? Because you mentioned people were smiling, and I guess they weren't smiling in a positive way necessarily when you were presenting your ideas. How did you convince the first ones to come along?
Well, I mean, principally, you need to have some founders with some bold ambitions that put in some initial seed capital and then develop an idea, which is exactly what happened in Freyr. Then we got initial startup support from both Innovation Norway and InnoEnergy. Very happy with that support.
That helps, yeah.
And as you pointed out, we completed the material private placement, and we've also received additional support from Innovation Norway. And it's really no sort of silver bullet answer to that question. You just need to sort of develop a concept. You need to stand by your ambitions. You need to show that you're serious, and you need to deliver on ambitions over time. And as you do that and you stick to your story, people will actually come to you and start to believe in what you're doing. And that is part of what is the story behind the so far successful journey that we've had. But obviously the bulk of the work lies in front of us.
Now, Tom, thank you for that. I would like to join Ståle now, who is one of the new investors in Freyr. Ståle, you decided to get on board, well, not you necessarily, but Helgeland Invest decided to get on board at Freyr this summer. Why now and not earlier? I mean, Tom obviously has a concept that he believes strongly in.
First, thank you very much for the invitation to this webinar. We decided to go into Freyr at the end of June this year. We had then had a dialogue with Freyr that had been going on for almost a year. Basically, Freyr is too big a project for us and too early phase. But we chose to go in after the dialogue we had with Freyr for a year. For us, it was important to see a certain element of other investors who also had faith in the project.
So you didn't want to be alone as investors?
We didn't want want to be alone. It's a large amounts are to be invested and so on. Freyr managed to provide this. Furthermore, it's easy for us to see the overall picture when it comes to battery production. In short, the green shift, I had to kill my phone. in short, the green shift, Europe's dependence on China for batteries and ever accelerating demand curve for batteries. It's also important to mention that through this year we have got to know the people behind Freyr. And large amounts are to be invested, and when we have confidence that the people behind Freyr are serious and hardworking, it made our decision easier. We have a great faith that Tom, Torstein, and the other people in Freyr are the right people to realize this project.
And that is a good thing, but what is the potential that you see in Freyr? Why Freyr and why not someone else who's also doing similar projects?
Do you ask me or?
I ask you, yeah. Why? What potential are you seeing in Freyr as an investor?
First, we see from the economic models that the investment in Freyr has the potential to become a profitable investment for us. And secondly, a realization of Freyr will mean major positive ripple effects for the entire Helgeland region. This applies to supplier companies, but also other companies, plus constructions of infrastructure, etc. Thirdly, such an investment could reverse a somewhat negative population development and attract expertise and know-how to the region, Helgeland. Competence that not only benefits Freyr, but also the rest of society and business.
What is the potential of new jobs that you can see here? And that's a question that could go both to you, Ståle, and to Tom. What are you hoping for?
If I'm going to take that quickly, our first facility is going to be a 2 gigawatt-hour per year facility that will probably employ around 175 people when it is in steady state operation. For our larger ambition of up to 32 gigawatt hours, a gigafactory in line with what we see in Northvolt in Sweden, that is probably in the area of 2,000 direct employees. And finally, as also Ståle pointed out, the sort of ripple effects that he is mentioning in the Skellefteå region, where Northvolt is establishing their gigafactory, more than 50 new establishments have been created as a result of Northvolt's ambition. So the impact that this has on any local economy is obviously huge. And that is also why we do believe that local investors are so important.
Well, time is running away from us once again, so I'm going to say thank you to both Ståle and Tom for joining us here today and for giving us an insight in the processes behind this coming first Norwegian battery cell production facility. So thank you very much to both Tom and Ståle.
Thank you.
The third battery cell initiative we're meeting here today is Beyond. They are located in Sandnes, Rogaland, and their CEO, Svein Kvernstuen, literally flew over from Sola to Kjevik today. I think it was Kjevik or Gullknapp, I'm not sure, in his own plane. Maybe that's a company perk, I don't know. I'm happy anyway to see you here, safe and sound, Svein, so welcome. You can take place there. And with you on a video link from Sandnes, you have one of your investors, Arild Austegard at Foot. Futurumutvikling or development. So welcome to you too, Arild. There you are. Now, questions, you may still ask them through Slido if you want to, and I will try to convey them as they come along. But first of all, at Beyonder, you've developed what you call a game-changing technology which is eco-friendly and energy efficient, with Norwegian forest sawdust as a main ingredient. You've patented the process of converting this residue to super-activated carbon. And you're currently setting up a pilot facility, isn't that so?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
How long has it taken for you to get this far, Svein?
Well, I established the company in early 2016, so it's 4.5 years ago. Of course, I also did some planning a bit before starting the company as well. Yeah. So it has been a long journey with a lot of work, and but it's very, very pleased to see that we now are getting there. Yeah. So it's very promising results that we are getting.
And how easy or difficult would you say that it has been to get the investors with you? And as Terje mentioned, it's not necessarily always about the money, but the competence and the willingness that they have to go with you.
We are, well, now we're a group of roughly 50 owners in Beyonder Cell. So, of course, getting investors is important. It's also very crucial that we get investors that are supporting us. So getting the right investors are important. It means trying to get someone that also can support and bring some extra, whether it is vertically in the value chain, opening up as client, or support, or have competence in industrialization, or something like that.
And where does he fit in this picture?
Arild is definitely an industrial expert, has been involved in numerous companies and building up industries. So that we're very pleased to have Arild here. You agree to that, Arild?
Yeah, you did a thumbs up. That's very good. So Arild Austegard, your firm Futurumutvikling, or Futurum Development, if you're going to go international here, owns about 10% of Beyonder, and you did your acquisition last autumn. Why did you decide to invest in batteries in general and in Beyonder in particular?
Well, I can start by correcting you. After that, we have invested quite more money, so the stake is probably a bit higher, but anyhow.
He's a bigger owner. Yeah, okay, cool. But why did you do that?
We invested in, not specifically in the batteries, but we invested in Beyonder and the technology that Beyonder has, because that ticked most of the boxes that we look after when we look for investments. It is a local company with a global potential, which is important for us. We've done that before, and we'd like to offer our competency in doing it again. It's just sustainable and green, especially with the wood coming into batteries. So we have a lot of wood in Norway, so that's fantastic. And then it's the technology, which has the great potential. So if you can combine that with the team of Svein and Freyr, it may only be fantastic.
Svein looks politely a bit, I shouldn't say ashamed, but you're proud, right? When you
I'm proud.
This. Yeah, that's good.
Proud.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I come from this region, and I even went to school with Arild, so I know these guys a bit. You know, shyness is an important quality in that regard. Arild, your interest in Beyonder, is that on a long-term basis, or are you just in for some quick return?
No, we're in for the longer term. Our stake may decrease as this is capital intensive, but we would love to see Beyonder Battery Center as now being built and into a production facility locally at Forus. We would love to see that stay at Forus as an important role here for many, many years, and we will take part in that journey.
And that is also an important asset here, because when I spoke to you the other day, I asked you, are you planning on staying in Norway? And I'm looking at you, Svein, first. Is that is that important to you to be local and to be in your own country?
Well, the battery industry is international or global industry, for sure. So, of course, well, there is a big national market, but obviously the biggest market is abroad internationally. And we want to start in Norway. We think Norway is the best place to position a battery factory. And that's where we're starting, but obviously we will, well, we are getting attention from international clients. We are in dialogue with quite a few, and we're also looking at collaboration with various companies, vertically, both as a client and also as partners, and most probably we will also establish some production internationally later on.
Because there's a question from the audience which has gained a lot of popularity, and it arrived long before you guys arrived on stage, but I think it's suitable here. Battery cell production requires high manning. Given the higher salary levels in Nordic countries, if and how will we be able to compete with low-cost locations?
Well, salary is, and conventional industrial salaries are rather high, but this is special workers, and when it comes to special operator salary level, it's really competitive in Norway with the rest of the world. And the salary cost of a big battery plant is only a very small portion. Then we also are very competitive when it comes to management salary level. And we have some of the other very, very beneficial factors, 100% renewable energy and also cheap energy. So when you add all of these together, Norway is a very, very good place to start producing.
And what would you say of the importance of intellectual property position, like patents, etc., because you have a patented process, in order to attract investors?
Well, we believe that starting with having some competitive edge or technological competitive edge is important, and for a high-tech company, continuing development is part of the life insurance. So it's very important to have control of your technology platform to continue and try to do things smarter and position ourselves in the competitive landscape.
Arild, you said you are investing in Beyonder and the technology that they're developing and have developed. And you mentioned that since we spoke, you've become a bigger owner than you were before. But Beyonder has a lot of owners. Are they pulling in the same direction? And how are you going about, you have to listen to your owners, Svein, when you're making new decisions. How is the dialogue with Arild and the others?
It's very good. We have, more or less the majority of the current owners also came in when we did a little smaller internal round now. So it's very positive. We have very good support in all the owners, and we've also been lucky getting owners that also can contribute in various ways. So it's a complementary team. Both international as well as local. So it's we see the owners as a very good resource.
Are you a good resource, Arild? Where do you see the future of Beyonder?
Well, it's up to Svein to answer and me to prove it. We'd like to offer what we have seen working, building industrial companies globally previously, and there's one very important thing which is fine with Beyonder, and that is that instead of bringing a book, Svein could have brought a battery cell, because what really hit us when we wanted to invest in the company was that they already have battery cells and they are scaling up the production, which is so the battery cell production is already here. It will just be scaled up, and we will assist and aid in making it a success as good as we can.
Well, with that, I wish both of you the best of luck, and thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you here. So thank you, Svein and Arild. So far today, we've kind of limited the definition of the Nordics to Norway and Sweden, and that's a bit narrow, isn't it? So it's time to rectify that impression and to widen the horizon. So let's look a bit further east to Finland. There they are actually well ahead of us Norwegians when it comes to having established a battery ecosystem. Through the consortium BatCircle, 4 universities, 2 research centers, several industrial partners, and even 2 cities are working together to find ways of adding value to the battery metals sector. How they do that and in what areas, I'm going to leave to our next speaker to explain, as I know she's more than happy to share her knowledge and experience with us. Mari Lundström is assistant professor at Aalto University and the principal investigator at BatCircle. And she's now going to give us a quick update and show us why Finland is a key player on the European arena within battery, metals, raw materials and recycling. So please welcome Mari Lundström to the digital stage.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and greetings from Finland, from the country which refines over 10% of global cobalt, where is almost 10% of battery-grade nickel refined, and we have one of the biggest lithium resources. We have a government that appreciates metallurgical education, industrial education, mining, and we have very strong industrial ecosystem in Finland. So as the previous CEO mentioned, that Norway is the best place to make a battery plant. So I would say that Finland is also quite an excellent place in future. But today I would like to tell a bit about case BatCircle and how it can be in the service of the Nordic cooperation. As mentioned, we have quite a wide and industrial network from raw materials to battery applications, and I would say about 100 players working in the field. And these companies have request ecosystem research, so R&D in certain fields to support the industrial development. And Business Finland is funding several ecosystem. BatCircle is one of the biggest ones working in the interface of raw materials and battery recycling. BatCircle is 22 million project with 23 companies. And we work in the wide range from the raw materials to active materials. So we work with the sustainable primary resources, development of the processes from mine to metallurgical refining, value addition in the metallurgical processing, getting more out of the ore, development of the new battery recycling technologies, as well as high added value products, so battery grade tailored precursors, active electrode materials, and also investigate circular business models and business ownership in this new emerging field. If I would mention something about this recycling of batteries, so that is one of our key interests as a very strong metallurgical know-how country. In BatCircle, we want to develop and focus to recover more of such metals that are not currently recovered, like lithium, graphite mentioned today, electrolytes, fluorides, and so on. But of course, better recovery of cobalt and nickel. But also to investigate in deep the successive new recycling processes to prove in the early stage, which are not only technically but also environmentally feasible options. Here's one example of the phenomena research, that how actually impurities, copper and iron in the black mass in the recycling can boost the leaching of the active material. So only minor amount of iron originating from the casing can utilize or transfer the reductive power of copper from the electrode materials and then speed up the leaching reaction itself. But not only like single phenomena, we also investigate in batch circle holistic processes. So we do develop processes, but at the same time, we in the early stage model them. For example, in this example, we have innovated the use of nickel batteries, nickel metal hydride batteries as a reductant to lithium batteries in the recycling process. But not only making technical solutions, we model the whole process and then observe the environmental loads by simulation-based modeling, which here, for example, shows that in the current or future nickel-rich compounds, the CO2 emissions for nickel would be, or the global warming potentials as CO2 equivalent would be around 15, whereas if that would be divided for cobalt, it would be 25. That is one of the questions of recycling processes that traditionally we always put the environmental load for one element, but now we have several elements and we should develop the way to give their own share for lithium, for graphite, for electrolytes, for copper, so that, for example, cobalt in our recycled materials wouldn't get too high environmental load numbers that compared to what actually these processes can provide, not only one product, but several products. And we have been very active in publishing, research and publishing, and also we have a lot of investments in Finland, like BASF, Umicore, Terrafame, investigating on active materials and recycling, as well as mining production. At this moment, we are building Batch Circle 2.0, which further focus stronger in the development of CO2 low processes, and also aims to find improved ways for Nordic and European collaboration. So we truly, in Finland, want and see us as a very, very essential player in the Nordic collaboration. In Batch Circle 1, we have had already companies like Nikkelverk, Northvolt, Nordic companies in our advisory board, and we have been active, for example, going roundtable discussions with Chinese players, with the arranging like 200 people international symposiums in this field, and also after COVID, so very quite a big seminars in online. Along this work, so also we were nominated for the Batteries Europe Working Group 2 Raw Materials and Recycling. So Finland, Aalto and Aalto University, we are leading now the Working Group 2 and building together, of course, many of you companies who have been already active in our working working meetings. So we have been building the strategies where Europe should put the R&D funding in the future to support the industry in the best possible way. So thank you for the possibility to join this meeting, and I'm open for questions if any.
Thank you, Mari. That was pretty quick, but I'm very happy that you came and represented Finland in a very good manner. What you're doing, you're looking at the entire circle here and sort of closing the circle for the value chain. And this has been, I mean, sustainability is an important feature of this conference, both today and tomorrow. Would you say that we are getting into a circular economy thinking in the Nordic, or do we still have a way to go?
I would say that we are in the front line, so our intentions are good, but of course, like we still need a lot of innovations to make true circular economy, so that we can really recover energy, we can recover graphite, we can recover electrolytes, fluorides, such items that are not so valuable in the batteries. Mm-hmm. Cobalt and nickel are quite easy to recycle, and it's also easy to talk about circular economy of cobalt, but when it comes to the small impurities in batteries, so that's a bit more challenging.
So what is the potential of recycling versus new raw materials, you think?
It's so obvious that the boost or growth in the battery field is so fast that by recycling we just can't answer for the demand. So primary mining, primary processing, it's the key issue to fulfill the need of the raw material. But of course, at the same time, to increase the European independence of the raw materials to truly act sustainably. So we are required, and we should, and we need to be very strong in the recycling. But the amount of recycled material cannot fulfill European needs 2030 for cobalt, not even 10%.
Would you say, and this is a question from the audience, that we are on time to compete in the battery industry with Asia and the US?
You mean if we are in good time?
Yeah,
or
here in
enough?
Europe or in the Nordics?
Well, I think in of course, like in battery technologies, we are in a way behind that. We don't have so much battery production, but on the other hand, we are high technology countries, and I believe that we can chase up and maybe jump for the also new battery chemistry, so to be on the lead. But then when it comes to recycling, for example, so I would say that that is an issue that nobody has solved so far. China is maybe the country that is the most far, but they are not so far, and the environmental regulation is not so strict as we have here. So I would say that there can be a lot of competitive edge, and actually has been a lot of interest, for example, from the car companies from Japan and so on, visiting us and discussing these things. So I would say that in recycling we have a chance to be really on the top.
With that, Mari, I have to say thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure, and good luck with Bat Circle 2.0. Goodbye. Now, the next point on the agenda is about combining the Nordic strengths in order to attract foreign investors to the Nordic battery scene. A key word to manage that is collaboration, which I suspect is one of Nora Rosenberg-Robeck's favorite words. She's head of battery technology at Invest in Norway, and she's here now to tell us how that collaboration is going forward. So what is cooking at Invest in Norway these days, Nora?
Well, thank you for that introduction. There's a lot going on at the moment. We are, as you said, we have initiated a conversation with Business Finland and Business Sweden in order to figure out how do we sell the Nordic value proposition. And also we just want to comment that Invest in Norway is a part of Innovation Norway, so the economic development agency for Norway, and then Business Sweden is the same for Sweden and Finland, etc. So we see that the battery ecosystem is immature and it's complicated. And in order to, as been mentioned many times here today, in order to take a true position for the Nordics, we need to have a good collaboration and cooperation in the Nordics in order to solve that. So we've initiated some early conversations, and I'm also here to do a little bit of commercial for the third webinar in this series of webinars, which is going to be on September 21st.
Oh, you got a date already.
We have a date.
21st.
And we're going to do a little bit more deep dive into that Nordic collaboration. And so it's not necessarily an announcement today that we are looking into this. It's more also like an invitation. So this is something we also want to contact a lot of these players and going forward. And yeah.
But who do you wish to attract to the Nordic scene?
Yeah, so that's...
Are we defining Europe, or are we going globally?
We're growing globally.
Okay.
So we work with several companies from all over the world who wants to take part in the Norwegian battery ecosystem or the Nordic battery ecosystem. And it's sort of, through the conversations and collaborations, finding out where is the best fit and etc.
And we're talking the entire value chain from raw materials all the way to the package.
The full scope. Upstream, downstream, everything. Yeah.
And how's the interest?
It's good.
That's all you're going to say at this
That's all I'm
point.
going to say. Yeah.
So 21st of September,
21st
the next
of September.
third webinar.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be on electrification of the transport sector, but that's no longer
Well,
the
isn't
topic.
that's a good intro to sort of Nordic collaboration? So as mature markets in that space, that's a good angle. So wait and see.
Is there anything else you would like to add, Nora, while you're here?
I don't think so. I think people here wants to listen to the close-up. So
Yeah, okay.
thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Nora. And as she said, it is time to wrap up today's battery seminar. And to do that, I would like to invite Helge Aasen to join me. Those of you who were here for the Global Outlook know that he's, I could sort of introduce him as many things. Former CEO of Elkem, chairman of the board in many boards, but in this particular capacity, you're here as chairman of the board of Eide Cluster. So it's nice to have you here, Helge. And looking back at these 2 well-packed hours, it's like a full battery pack of information. What was the most uplifting you heard today?
I feel I'm witnessing something historical in a way.
Right, the start of a new adventure.
I think so, actually, yes. It's very interesting when Terje Andersen brought the book on stage about Sam Eide.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Norway was industrialized based on hydropower. We had a mineral industry, we had shipbuilding, shipping, we have fisheries. And based on especially on shipbuilding and the process industry that came out of hydropower, we developed a world-leading oil and gas industry. And we have become wealthy based on that. And in 2050, we are going to be a zero-emission, zero-waste, or circular economy. And of course, that's going to trigger some significant changes. And I think what we're seeing today is the beginning of those changes.
Yeah. We're going to talk about circularity tomorrow, so I'm not going to go into a big discussion with you on that. But
there's been a lot of circular discussions here already about how to use batteries after they have spent their life in the car and so on. So no, I think we are looking at the contours of something that's going to be our future. And I think Erna Solberg said in was it last year's NHO conference that we need to create 150,000 jobs in the private sector in Norway in order to maintain our current standard of living. And this is part of that solution. This is part of it, definitely.
That's really cool. I'm doing a reflection here because I've been involved in discussions about Norway as a battery for Europe, but that is concerning hydropower mainly, and the renewable energy that we have. But maybe this battery of Europe is getting a new meaning now.
I think I certainly believe this is much more meaningful than the old definition of being the battery of Europe. Definitely, yes.
I don't think everyone would agree on that, but okay, we're going to let that lie now. So where do you see the greatest potential, and how open is our window of opportunity now? Is it urgent that we act?
Definitely. I mean, everything is going faster everywhere, and I think now we're in the middle of this shift in transportation. It's going electric. We have a slowdown in the economy, and now it's being very much further depressed by the pandemic. And governments all over Europe, and Norway in particular, where we are located, are going to be very, very supportive to speed up something.
In order to make something good come out
industrial activities in this context that is participating in the green shift. And so we have that opportunity. We have an industry in Europe that's in a way being pushed by the EU to convert to electric, the car industry. And we have a supply chain that's not existing at the moment. So if we move fast, I think we can fill part of that space. Of course, there will be competition. There will be global players moving into Europe to produce battery materials and batteries. But there's something about first mover advantage, and I think we have it if we use this opportunity.
The future on the horizon is bright.
I mean, nothing is easy, and it's not supposed to be easy. I mean, then anyone can do it. So, but I think we have competence. We have an industrial base in Scandinavia. We have the renewable energy base, and we combine this in the right way. I'm definitely sure we can create a new adventure.
And with those words, I think we should wrap it up for today and say thank you very much to Helge, to all the speakers, to the audience here at Fairvik and also out there digitally for joining us. And there's another day tomorrow. The conference continues, the PROSIN conference, with circular economy in focus from 9 a.m. tomorrow. So thank you and goodbye and good night. Thank you.